Have you ever clicked edit on a SharePoint page and had a meltdown because you had no idea what to do next? You're not alone. But the reality is that it's really difficult for you to break anything, and it's really easy to undo anything that you don't like. So today I'm going to show you how to work with the different web parts. I'm going to show you some of the most common ones on a SharePoint page, how to use them, what they'll look like, and use some real examples from my own demo sites so you can see them in action. Let's get to it. So welcome to the Thrive admin channel. Today's video, like I said, we're going to just walk through some of the most common web parts so that you can get used to what they do and how you might use them. Now, the first thing that we want to do is actually understand what a web part is. Again, it's one of these definitions that we have that we throw around, but it's important to understand what we're talking about. So a web part is effectively a building block, and you drop it into a SharePoint page. Now, it can be text, it can be images, it can be a link, it could be a button. There's loads to choose from, but I want you to think about it like Lego or your other favorite modular building kit. You can stack the parts that you need, you can move them around, you can change the order, and you can make it suit yourself, and you can ignore whatever you don't need. All right, so on my SharePoint page here, I've hit the edit button, and all of a sudden everything is now active and alive, and I can drag it and move it around. But each thing with a boundary on it, with a border on it, that is a part, that is a web part in and of itself. So we're going to have a look at some of these and play with them and see what we can do. So let's walk through what some of them are, and I'm going to add them in as we go. So our SharePoint page is broken into sections with columns and then web parts. So I'm just going to work in what we already have, but I'm going to add some as we want. Now I can add, if I click out of that one, I can add a new web part by clicking here wherever I see a grayed out plus sign, and it will give me this full list. Or I can go across here to my right-hand side and I can drag one in as a new choice, and here I can then see all of the things that I can put in, and you can see it is quite a comprehensive list. So we're going to start, and like I said, this video is not going to cover everything. I'm just going to look at some of the most common ones you might want to use to get familiar, and then you can have a play and work out what else you might like to add. So a text web part is a nice, easy place to start. So you see I've got some frequently used ones. Then we've got some broken up into a few different options. So we've got a text one here, which if I put it in is just flat text. And the moment I click inside, I've got all of these options. So I can change the size of the font. So that's like using your styles in Word. And then I can change the actual font size. We can use a format painter. I can make it bold, italic, underline. I could make it a hyperlink. I can change the alignment. I can make it into a different kind of bullet list, and I can duplicate it if I want to, or delete it, which is the very important part. And then there's a few other things I can do here. So some formatting, and then I can make things into different types of pull quotes. So we can make it with quote icons. So again, we can be really we can be really clear here. I can make this, I can change the size, and over here I might highlight it, or I might change the font color here, and I can put some of my own branded colors in. So I might make it that color, which is my brand color. We can change the spacing, we can put images in, or we can put tables in. So this is exactly the same as working like a document element. And when I click out, this is my text web part. So that's just a flat text option. You can see there's lots of different text elements here. There's banners and all sorts of things. But if you're just looking to add text, paragraphs of text, blocks of text, that's the one that you would use. Now, when we're sharing a site and we're working with lots of information, there can be this urge to put lots of text and buttons and things, but sometimes an image is really important. An image will help convey information. It could be a flowchart, it could be a diagram, it could be a team photo, it could be an event, but also sometimes a stock image is really handy to help break things up and add some personality and style and bring it on brand. So we can do that as well. I'm going to do that underneath this one. So we've got text in our text media and content, or I can click here And you can see I've got these ones, and then these are all of the buttons as well. So we can put an image in, put in hero, we could put a banner, we can do an image gallery as well. So we can do or a video. So let's pop in just a plain image one. And then what it's going to do is it's going to give me the option. So you can see I've got some that are available in the site. I've got some that are stock images, which are the Microsoft stock images with the full library. So I might choose, let's find one let's do this nice green one, insert, and there's the image as it is. Now I can, once it's here, I can put a text overlay on it. So I can put some text on it. I can resize the image in this block, so I can make it smaller or bigger. It will fit the block that fits within the column. I can crop it and make it certain. So you see I can play with this like you would with any sort of usual editor. Oops, what happened there? There we go. And I can hit Control-Z to undo like I would anywhere else, or Command-Z if you're on a Mac. Alignment, so I can align it to the left, right, or center. We can do some advanced editing here, which is where we've got filters and marking it up if you're wanting to play around that way. And pop some shapes around it, and of course we can always reset it back to the original. Again, I can still delete it, I can duplicate it. Oops. And then these are the properties. So I can make a link here. I could disable the light box, add text over the image. We could have an image caption if I want to. You can put your alternative text for accessibility. You can mark it as decorative, which means that there won't ever be a need. And whether you want it to be shown in both mobile and email view, or whether you just would like it as a desktop only option. So that's your images. So text and images are a huge part of what we would be doing typically in these sites. Quick links is the next one. So this one is my quick links button. So if I was to add another set here, it is here, quick links. And it's a box that allows you to add individual links. So these are all kind of grouped together as a box. And I could have, if I did a new section that was 2 columns, I could put this one here, and I could have another section here. And this might be internal links and these might be external links. So I can group them. I can change in my links themselves. If we work in here and I look at the settings, so I can decide how the actual quick links group look. So I can do them in a few different ways. We can choose what size we want the icon to be. Is it animated or not? That's about when you're browsing the page. Do you want a title on or off? So that's the title for the whole section. And then here, the link itself, you can do it as a direct link, or you could do it as a site, a link to a site. Cancel that, click that again. I can link it to a document, to something that's on this site, something that's in my OneDrive. I can upload something, whatever it might be. So again, could be an external hyperlink, could be a link somewhere around the site to stop people having to rummage, whatever's going to work for you. You can change the icon as well. So when we click on here, oops, this one here and settings, when we go add links, oops, hang on here. Sorry, what's going on there? This, let's just make it from a link. I'm going to go add. It's going to load that up. Once it has a link, we've got some other details here. So we can open it in a new tab, which is always quite handy. You can make it an auto-selective. You can make it a custom image, which means you can upload something yourself, or you can choose from the library, which is where it has a bunch of icons to choose from. So you can customize things that way. So you need to actually have a link there, whether it's a document, a file, a site, and then it will allow you to customize that specific link, and you'll be able to change the layout once you've got them all there. And the more you have, obviously, that will change and adapt to fit the view. The next one that we've got is your document library preview. So that's what this one is here. So if I go back to here and I was to add a new web part, this one here, there's a show a document library, and you can do it as a few different ways here in the document lists and libraries. So you can do a document library, and then you would choose which one it might be, and that's how it will appear as. This one is the main document library. So this is the one that on the main page, if you click documents, it's going to take you there. So if you want to do that, it means they can work in it from this page rather than having to click into the document section itself. So it's a mini folder that's basically embedded there. You could make that, if we went to the settings here, we might change what that is. So we might go documents and we want it to view all documents. And do we want it to view a folded name? So we might make it HR matters. And what size would we like it to be? Do we want to show the commands or not? Do we want to show the see all button? So if we apply that, you can see this is just that folder. So if you had a specific folder like templates or policies or reference documents or onboarding docs, whatever it might be, you could make it that specific folder here on the page rather than them diving through. And then the other one that I want to show you is a button. So a button is a really handy thing. If you don't want to do the quick links this way, I'm just going to delete that one. So you can see I just deleted and it's gone. But if I wanted to add a button instead of quick links, so I can click, I've got it in my frequently used. It will also be in your, where is the button? Button, who's got the button? Button and call to action in your text, media and content. So we go button, and that's what's going to happen here. So we can type the label. So we'll go website, we pop our link in. Do we want it to open there? How do we want it to sit? The button color is based on your site's theme and whether you want to see it in those. So I could have several of these lined up. We can duplicate that, and then I could have them stacked. I can drag and drop. I could have them stacked across the page. So if you've only got a couple, you could have it in a single column, and it would be a bigger button, 2 columns, depending on what you're doing with your layout. You'll be able to play with it that way. Like I said, the best part of working with web parts and playing around with the edit is that, firstly, until you republish it, no one else can see what you're doing. So while I'm in this edit mode, everything is still kind of in a draft state, and the existing site before I made any edits is still the one that's live and active for everybody else who's looking at it. So I could be adding things and removing things, but until I hit that republish button, people can still access everything that was there. I can undo anything that I want to do. So the changes have been saved. But if I discard changes up here, would I like to go back to the version that was made at this time before I jumped in? Yes. And you can see it's gone straight back to exactly what it was before. So none of those changes are there. If I go back into the edit mode, then everything's in here as it was before. All of those things I've just done don't exist anymore. It's gone. So that discard changes. You can do undo here, or you can use your Control or Command Z on your keyboard if you prefer that to undo things. You can delete individual web parts, or you can make loads of changes and then do that discard changes. So honestly, and I say it all the time, get in and have a play. Test out whether you want to use text, whether you want to use banners, whether you want to use buttons, because the reality is that the only way you'll truly learn what makes sense to you and what works with your information to share is to get in there and get doing. Let me know how you go.